Hello, everybody. Hello, everybody. Hello, and welcome to the show. We're here today with our guest. Welcome, everybody. Now, joining us again, we had a very great show
And
last
we had a
week.
very great show last.
Um, and I want to
I want to
welcome our hosts, welcome our panelists, and everybody that's here. And today we have a couple of questions. One question says, why do men not express their feelings when they're interacting with a woman, but the moment she decides to leave, he is overflowed with emotion? That's a deep question. And the other question is, men should know that they are leaders. Why are men running from responsibility that comes with leadership? That was something that we kind of touched. But Deborah says, why do men not express their feelings when they are interacting with a woman, but the moment she decides to leave, he is overflowed with emotions? Terry, do you want to take a stab at that one first? If not, I can kind of.
I'll give it a shot real quick. Why men don't talk about their emotions? Ask the question one more time.
The question is, why do men not express their feelings when they are interacting with a woman? But the moment she decides to leave, he is overflowed with emotion.
Man, I guess we can keep it simple and say it's because of experience and immaturity. I think as men get older, I think as men get older and more experienced, they tend to become more open and honest about their feelings and their want. But during the immaturity stage, men men don't express what they want or don't talk about their emotions, what they want as often because sometimes they feel like the woman is going to feel different about them, showing their softer side or whatever the situation may be. So I guess we can kind of talk about different emotions that men don't express. Is there any type of emotion in particular, or are we just talking about the way the man feels about a woman?
Yeah, no, I'll clarify. Let's say that we are dating, right? And maybe you develop feelings for me, whatever, however, but you don't express them. Like you don't tell me that you're falling for me or you're liking me a lot more or whatever have you. And so, for me as a woman, I feel like maybe, I may think that you're not as interested or, you're not really as invested in this as I may be. But so then I may choose to like remove myself from the relationship or from the situation. And then once that happened, now all of a sudden, oh, what happened? I was really feeling you. I'm really liking you, but you couldn't tell me none of that when we were interacting with each other. But now that I choose to remove myself, now, here comes all of the emotion that you did have or all of the feelings that you did have. Like, why is it so hard for you guys to really express that in the moment of dealing with a woman so that she can know and understand, like, how you're feeling about her, what your feelings are for her?
Well, let me ask you a question. When you're feeling the dude that you're seeing, do you express that to him?
I sure
And
do.
if you don't, why not? You do,
I do.
and he won't reciprocate when you give him that when you give him those answers or those responses.
Not always, no.
Okay, well, maybe he's just afraid to I don't know, reciprocate. He's not sure if he wants to be in that relationship. He may like you, he may have some feelings for you, but at that point he's probably just enjoying that relationship without expressing all of the emotions. So when you are willing to walk away, Now here comes the flood because you just took something away from him that he wanted. And hopefully he showed it to you in other ways. If he didn't show it to you before, then, maybe that relationship's not for you at all. I know a lot of men like availability, a woman that's available to him. And when that woman's not available to him anymore, they feel some kind of way. Try to, give you reasons of why you guys should be together, or let you know that he wants you. If he didn't show you that in the first place, then you may need a second guess or think deeper about that relationship. My opinion.
Okay.
Okay.
All right, I'll take a stab at this. Go ahead, Chantel.
I'm not sure if it's just me, but Deborah was echoing. So I don't know if it's just me on my end, but am I echoing to you all?
No, you're not echoing. What's
No,
happening is
you're not.
if
I was just about to ask that.
no, it's when you're not talking, just mute yourself so that it's not played back, it's not looped back over and over and over. But yeah, just make sure you mute it, and then you can come in and talk. But I'll take a stab at this question, Deborah.
And then I'll take a stab after you take a stab.
Okay. So, well, you go first. Ladies first. Go ahead, Chantel.
This is what I will say. Just learn dating men and being in relationships with broken men and being someone who is broken myself. What I've learned is that men will definitely be vulnerable, will express emotions, will do all the things that they want to do to the woman that they actually are interested in or like. Any man that is not expressing emotions to you at all, if he decides to express those emotions or show you those emotions when you are leaving, it's because he's a manipulator and he's manipulating you because you are his stability in some type of way and you're taking that away from him. And he wasn't finished with you because when he's done and when he feels like he no longer has no reason to be with you, he is going to definitely move on. You're going to be definitely wrapped up in your feelings because what we as women do is we stay because we feel like they're giving us. I'm sorry, y'all, I'm also using my GPS. We as women stay in these situations because we believe that because they're still there, because they're still doing relationship type things, that they still care. No, men can actually, and I'm not just saying men, I'm just speaking from my experiences. I only date men. Men can actually remain and stay in those places and spaces with an individual because she is some type of stability to him. Any man that is not showing you emotions is because he doesn't like you and he doesn't want to be with you. He will do it to the woman that he definitely like, interested in, and also love.
So Chantel just took my hand. Terry. All right. So, wow. You said basically what I was about to say. And coming from a male, Deborah, unless a man has been betrayed or something has happened where he does not want to share how he feels, he will be vulnerable. He will be emotionally available. He will open up. And in a lot of cases, men stick around for convenience. A man, and I mean, speaking personally, a man can be with a woman for 3 years and do not love her, don't care about her. He loves the situation. He loves the convenience. He loves what she has to offer, right? And not that marriage is the proposal is the ultimate symbol of love and affection, but this is why men can stay with women for several years, never even think about marrying them, right? Or never even think about being exclusive to them. And what Chantel talked about is he's expressing those emotions when you're ready to leave because he wants you to stay. He didn't just get those emotions. They didn't just come overnight, and he wants you to stay, and he feels like he's going to lose whatever it is he had in you. Now, there are some instances where there is uncertainty, and I think well, it's not really age related, but in some cases, some men don't want to be how it is. You don't want to be the first one to say, I love you. When you dating somebody, y'all teenagers and talking on the phone all night and you had that awkward pause before you say goodnight. And who wants to be the first to say, I love you, right? So it's like you're a little hesitant in showing emotions because you don't want it to be one sided. That's an awkward feeling to say, I love you. And the person says, oh, or okay, good night, and it's not reciprocated. So that same anxiety can exist in adulthood where a man just doesn't express his feelings until he's sure how you feel, right? But once he knows the way that you feel and he's not expressing it, and then all of a sudden it comes out when you're about to leave, in a lot of instances, it's because he does not want to lose you. And he's saying what it takes to keep you there, because men can express themselves. They can tell you how they feel about you. And that's just my take on it, from personal experience.
But I'll say this, Koshon, real quick. Everything that you say, I can definitely agree with to a certain extent, except why do men look for women to express
Turn left
these
to
emotions
I-77 North toward Charlotte.
when they are the leaders? Like, you're the leader.
But women are the emotional ones. You're the emotional being. We're not. We're
But no,
supposed to be emotional men.
I agree that we can be as emotional, but this is what I feel. Men were the first creatures created. That means that they have all of those emotions as well. They may not operate in them as much, but they're there because you were created first. I am only your helpmate. I'm your rib, which means I'm only getting a portion of what you all have.
Well, if we subscribe to that part, but then if you think about it logically, if man was created and alone, who's going to show emotions to or with? Because he was alone, right? Women came in with someone in the beginning, but that's going into a spiritual realm.
Like, no, I don't want to go into no, I'm not saying spiritually. What I'm saying is
estimated time
when
in
it comes
traffic,
to
7 minutes.
emotion, we
Continue straight for 9 minutes to exit 10 Crave Street, 5th Street.
Hold on.
Yes.
I'm sorry about that. Men want us to lead first when it comes to
Emotions,
the emotional part. But why is it hard for you to lead first? Or why is it hard
viewed as soft, or there's anxiety with because people joke about it. Like, you've seen statuses, memes, and comments about what people say when this person say I love you and you don't reciprocate it, you don't feel that way, right? What's your reaction? What's your response? And nobody wants to feel that way, right? So women, I think it's easier for them to do it, even if it's not reciprocated initially. Then they can say, oh, he's just not able to express his feelings, or he knows he really loves me. But for a man to say, hey, I love you, and then the woman is like, oh no, this is just a little situation right here. This is an entanglement, leaving feelings at the door. They don't want to deal with that. And people always say that actions speak louder than words, right? So a lot of times men feel like, haven't I showed you without having to tell you? So they think that their actions have spoken and they don't have to say it.
And I can understand that part.
Yes.
Hey, Damon. I can understand that part.
I've been asked that before and I really liked the person. I really, really liked the person. And she said, I never told her. And I'm like, I've done this, and that. Haven't I showed you? Like, well, I guess, but you never told. That's what she said. It's a difference. I never heard it come out of your mouth. So,
right.
But now you have, like Chantel alluded to, you're opening yourself up to these manipulators, the ones that will write these love letters, the one that will tell you all these things all the time and say how much I love my boo and blah, blah, blah. But it's just, he's saying it with no action because he knows that's what you want.
Right.
And again, it ties back into the entire premise of the show, communication. So it's important to know what you like. If you're a person that would like to hear it, right? Express that. Some women will say, yeah, okay, say that, but show me, I've heard that,
right.
Don't tell me you love me. Show me. Love should have brought you behind home last night. Or people that love one another don't do X, Y, Z. So these are things that I've heard. So it depends on the individual. So there's no universal way for men to express it. So again, that is why communication is so important, because we are so dynamic, and you have to find out what that person's communication languages or their love languages, right? Because what is your love language? Quickly, ladies, for the 3-4 of you that are on the panel, what is your love language? How can love be communicated to you?
Mine is quality time, and my second one is physical touch.
That's good. Deborah, Chantel, Nikki, what are your love languages? How can that love be communicated to you?
Mine is quality time, and I think whatever the one is under the line of encouragement, empowerment, stuff like that.
Okay.
Words of affirmation.
Yeah.
Yeah, words of affirmation. So for me, yeah, it would definitely be quality time, because you don't normally, no one is really going to put their time somewhere where they don't want to be. At least that's how I think. Like, I'm not putting
Homeless, but go
my
ahead.
time where I don't want to be. So quality time is definitely one. Words of affirmation are another. And actions though, because I'm probably not always going to believe what you say if your actions don't line up with that. So I want the communication, but I also want the communication to match the action. So
So that would be acts of service.
yeah, but then yeah, along with the words of affirmation. Yep.
Because there's only 5.
Look, in my mind, they is what they is, and they are how they are. But I will say that though, because like I am one, like I don't have a problem. If I see a man that I want to talk to, I'm going to approach him and I'm going to talk to him. And either I'm going to get rejected or I'm not. So, and I started doing that when I was a little younger, like in my 20s, because I wanted to be able to be okay with rejection. So I kind of, started challenging myself in that way, so that if I did get rejected, I would understand and know it's nothing personal, right? It's nothing I have to take personal. I just know I may not be everyone's type, or, whatever have you, however that may go.
So
But I
guys,
also will, go ahead.
So sorry, I was going to ask the guys if they knew their love languages and have they taken the love language quiz.
I can go first on this. My love language is food.
That is not a love language, Koshon.
So feed me.
In his mind it is.
It
In
is
his mind.
for me.
That's acts of service, acts of service.
Right.
Right.
Yeah, because I'm not big on like you have love languages, right? And you also have what's called like the expressions of love, right? So how do you express? So I think that like you have an option: spend quality time with me or take care of me when I'm sick. So I think that the quality time is not very important to me because of where I am, and my time is limited. So I wouldn't hold that against someone if their time is limited. They could be a business owner. They could have a different work schedule, things like that. But how they take care of someone, right? A person that offers support, deep conversation when they're attentive, things like that. I guess those would be considered. I'm looking at what you said. So words of affirmation. Words of affirmation are good.
So have you taken the quiz, Koshon?
Yeah, I've
You
done
ever
this a
taken
bunch of times. I did this about 20. I don't keep up with it because they have so many different things. You ask all these different questions and then they'll identify it with you. But they change because it depends on who I'm with at the time or what I'm going through. My answers. That's exactly what I was going to say. It changes. It changes with who the person I'm with. Yeah.
Why would when you take the quiz, it's just asking you questions about yourself. Why would that be reflected?
Yeah, but because it's different. We change every day. Yeah, it changes. Change every day. Because I might like quality time from one person, but not like it from another person. So who I'm with, that answer may change. Because they typically give you options. Like what's more important, quality time or the person tending to you when you're sick, right? So that changes based on, you know, based on who you're with and where you are. So again, welcome. We have Tank here, Damon here, Hook here. The guys have showed up, and guys, we're addressing the question sent in asking, why do men not express their feelings when they're interacting with a woman? But the moment she decides to leave, he is overflowed with emotion. Tank, Damon Hook, I want you all to please address that. Why do men not express their feelings when they're interacting with a woman, but the moment he decides to leave, he is overflowed with emotions?
I think that kind of goes without saying. And well, first of all, like, I don't know, like, I don't know, this topic is kind of weird for me because I'm like, the question is like, why don't men express their emotions? I'm like, what men are you talking about? Like, you know what I mean? Cause I mean, I have no issue. I'm one of the ones that have no issue expressing myself. Communication is like really key to me. So that's not something I really struggle with. But I guess along the lines of the question that was posed, I think that it's kind of simple. Like the reason they're overly expressive then is because they're about to lose you. So obviously, it could have been numerous times before where, they did something or they stayed, they did something and you decided to stay, and time after time again, like they felt you weren't going anywhere. So now they're like, okay, well, she about to leave. So I really need to, knuckle down and show her how I feel or express myself to her. So yeah, at that point, it's kind of like fight or flight. So yeah, they're going to express themselves then. But I guess, and I do understand from a woman's standpoint, like if he didn't express himself then, he's expressing himself like that now. Is he really genuine? So I think you have to really filter through who you're with early on. If you're big on communication and you find a guy who's not very, you're not really able to communicate with them, I think you may need to rethink if that's, I guess, someplace you want to go, or if you would really want to pursue something with them. But I do understand. But I guess for me personally, like communication is not really it's not one of my struggles. So I don't know.
Understandable.
Damon, you want to take it next?
Sure, I will. So good evening, first of all. I'd like to say, from my point of view, men don't express their emotions to their women when the emotions that a man is feeling is not coming from interactions with this woman. So if I have something going on with my family, or something going on at work, or something going on somewhere else, I may try to, fight through that or work through that with whoever I'm dealing with it with. And it could, be a distraction at the home. And then by the time I guess the straw breaks the camel's back and the wife or girlfriend, spouse decides to leave, that's when, all I have is what I have here. So of course I'm going to express myself at that point. But just like the young man said earlier, communication is not a problem for me, but I think the way we communicate and the way you read each other plays a big part in that. Because every communication isn't verbal. And so, just paying attention to one another and understanding when something's going on and paying attention to what's going on around you. Men and women communicate differently. And we touched on earlier, the communication and, how were brought up, and we're big egos, right? We're very egotistical, and it takes, a maturity or a level of maturity for a man to understand when he's vulnerable and when he's ashamed of anything, and to not let that shame live, to just shut it out by, just letting it out, being vulnerable with somebody he trusts. And that's another thing. Can a man be vulnerable with his partner? Because a lot of times, when you become vulnerable with the person and you share some things, sometimes it's used against you. So, some scar tissue there might be a reason why sometimes men don't share their vulnerabilities with their peers. I mean, with their partners. And it doesn't necessarily also always have to be the one that they're with now. It could have been something in the past that they're vulnerable. Their vulnerability was exposed, and it got used against them. I mean, it's a multitude of things or reasons why it could be a miscommunication between a man and a woman. But yeah, that's what I got to answer that question.
Right. Tank, you gonna weigh in on this one?
Well, before he does, let me clarify really quickly because it wasn't like I just wanted to clarify. It wasn't about like just being vulnerable with like all your emotions. It was specifically geared toward like not even being married, right? But being, in like the dating phase per se, right? And you're interacting, you're going out, you're hanging out, you might spend the night at each other's house and you start to catch feelings as a man, right? You start to catch feelings for her. Why is it so hard for you to just express that like you now have feelings, like there's now something more there that you're starting to experience until like maybe she decides to walk away and then that's when you want to like express it. Why not do it when you're really interacting with her and everything is like, going smooth or going good? Why is it that it's so hard for some guys to input their
Oh,
like show
guys
their
don't
feelings?
think everything needs to be said. If I'm treating you like you the one, then you the one. Now, if you ask me the question, hey baby, am I the one? Then you might get it. But for me to just come out and say, hey baby, you know what? You the one. And that's not hard to do, but sometimes we just don't think everything needs to be said. I'm gonna say me, but I'm pretty sure I can attest for a certain amount of
I
men.
agree. I agree,
Even
Damon. We stated that earlier
right,
that men feel like, haven't I shown you? Right?
right,
But my actions have spoken. Do you think I
right.
would have done this or done that if I didn't love you?
That's right. That is right.
I
That
just
is it.
paid for a house. I just paid for a car. I just planned this trip. I did X, Y, Z. I felt like that should be enough to let you know that I love you and not have to tell you
That's
because
right.
I'm not doing it for anyone else.
You just met my mom.
You're right.
That don't happen.
Right.
So,
So how I have a question for the fellas as a follow up to what Koshan just said and what Damon just said. So how can one say that they communicate effectively, yet in the same breath say, "Oh, but you should have knew." How? I mean, because that's not
Yeah, it
that's
is
not communicating.
I
nonverbal
agree.
communication. Nonverbal
Everything,
communication.
everything doesn't have to be said.
So maybe the communication should be that, hey, listen, I'm the type of person who is going to show you how I feel about you through actions. Maybe that's something that needs to be said up front so that the partner is not looking for words. They know that, hey, listen, this is how he's going to quote unquote communicate with me. But if you don't tell somebody that your method of communication is action, how would they know that?
Well, that can be twofold. You can let me know that's how you need me to communicate with you.
And that is what we said earlier. Like Deborah,
I need you to spell
I
things out.
agree, but if neither one is saying it, then what happens? Because I
Well,
mean,
but if you
I,
have a question, you ask it.
I don't think that's a question. I'm not sure if you missed what there's no question.
At
Like
some point in my relationship with my wife, she said, "What are we doing?" And I answered the question. That's it. What are we doing? That's
But
what
did
that's
y'all,
what
did you
that's
not
all it was.
establish that before she asked, what are we doing? Like, was there no inkling for you to, why, like, for you to say, like, I, this is what I want to do. So what are we doing? You know what I'm saying? How do you feel? Like, I think that also ties into that other question about taking the lead, right? The leadership role there and being the person to lead and not just finances and other things, but in every area.
Right. So every woman doesn't have to ask that question. Sometimes, I've been in relationships where they knew based on my actions, right? So we do things, our actions. We we do things. Now, if you're confused about what it is that we are doing, then ask the question, you know? I
Makes
don't think
sense.
that's hard. Yeah.
Nope,
I
not at
think
all.
it, I think
Communication.
it kind of, but I think it kind of like takes it puts it back on her to have to figure it out and ask the question. When the initial question that was asked by Deborah was, why can't a man take that lead without
We
having to?
can. We can, but that's just not how we're wired. We're from Mars. Y'all are here to find out. And I'm telling you, that's how we're wired. We can go back and forth and you can argue with me about why we do that, but that's just what we do.
Oh, there's definitely not an argument. I'm asking
Right.
just to try to get an answer to
Yeah, we don't have the
But
answers.
that
That's just what we do.
technically, Savannah, that is the answer. Like that is the answer. That's the answer.
Correct. That's the answer. So
Right. Like
think
technically.
about from a male's perspective, right? If you're with someone, you're dating someone, right? Where do you live right now, Deborah?
Jacksonville.
Okay, you're in Jacksonville. You know, you meet a guy. He's in Atlanta. He's in Jersey, right? This guy is taking flights twice a month, coming to see you. He is, hey, I have this event. My niece is getting married. I would like for you to come to this wedding with me. I want to do X, Y, Z. And he feels like it is his nonverbal communication that he's showing you that you are the one, right? Now, does he have to say to you, hey, you're the most important woman in my life. You're the only person I even considered inviting to these events, and you're the one that I'm taking around my family. To a man, that seems awkward and kind of unnecessary to say. It's like, I'm showing you these things, you know? So through my actions, you should see how I feel, is how some men may view it. Now, when you all are breaking up, like you said, when a relationship ends and you say to him, well, I didn't feel then he may start to say, well, hey, I thought, I was showing you this or I showed you that. But if you needed to hear it, if you wanted me to tell you, then just simply, like Damon said, ask me how I feel. If you doubt how I feel about you, then just simply ask me how I feel about you. And that would solve that. Go ahead, Terry. You're about to say something. Or Hook. I see your mic's on, Hook. Go ahead.
Yeah, like I'm with the ladies on this one, man. I think the men can do a better job of being expressive, and I hate when. And I know, and I forget the brother's name that was speaking just a moment ago, but I know he was speaking from his own personal experience. But I always cringe when I hear men say, well, as a man, we do this, or this is what men do, or this is how we're wired. That's not necessarily true. We're not monolithic. So there are we come in different, there are different types of men out there. And I'm one of the ones who, like, for example, if I'm going to take you to go meet my family, I'm going to explain to you why we're going to meet my family. Hey, I ain't just going to show up with you. I'm like, you know what? I think this is going someplace. I think the world of you, you mean a lot to me. And I think it's time for you to meet my family. And that's just me being me. You know what I'm saying? So I do agree that, like ladies, I do understand because I think that we can do a better job of, not being so macho and showing that vulnerability so that that how we feel and not wait until, we're in a situation where I'm almost forced.
Right. And I think that's what I was getting to, Hook, because like the example that Koshon gave is a great example. Yes, you flying twice a month, you taking me to a wedding and all that. That's great. But if I'm in Florida and you're in New Jersey and you doing all that, I'm just supposed to assume I'm the one you want to be with when you could be knocking down 20 more chicks in New Jersey on those other 2 weekends that you're not with me. So, and like Hook said, at what point does the man say, hey, this is why I'm doing that? And I think that was Deborah's question as to why men don't do that. But I think the answer is just Hook hit the nail on the head.
Well,
It,
listen,
I,
but
and
a minute.
And
I
Tavana,
agree.
to your point, Tavana, what I can also say though is I have a huge family, right? And I know I have a lot of male cousins and they bring random women around and they don't mean anything to them. You know what I'm saying? Like it can be
exactly.
just
Right.
some chick they smashing And, if she now, and they assume, yeah, he brought me around his family, and those we thinking, man, we ain't gonna never see the chick again. You know what I'm saying? So,
You break it up a little bit, Hook. But again, in the same way, people say actions speak louder than words. The same way a man can say to you, Deborah, I love you. Tavana, you're the one for me. And he could be saying that to 20 different women. So why is hearing it more valid or more important or considered a more effective method of communication than the actions itself? Because some women say the
I
actions
think
speak
the
louder than
actions
words.
and I think the actions and the words have to match. I
They
think
have
that's
to
what it
match.
is.
Yeah.
Right, right. You can say whatever you want and you can
But
do
show you
whatever you
also.
want.
Okay.
You have to do both. It has the actions and the words should match.
Mm.
Yep. That's exactly what I was doing. That's exactly what I was doing. That.
Koshon,
Go ahead, Terry.
it, it goes back to what I said earlier, man. I saw Tavana put down there on the post that I answered the question with a question. But again, it goes back to maturity and experience. If you're mature enough, experience, you've learned from a past relationship that you would, eventually express those type of things. But as far as and get and a man wants to pour his heart out at that woman, like I said before, hopefully he showed you that he loved you before. Had that man never ever showed you by, acts of kindness or words of affirmation prior to, if he never did that prior to, now you decide to walk out. Now he's trying to give you, this waterfall of experiences or excuses, like I said, you need to reevaluate that relationship. But if he's giving you the acts of kindness prior to, you know, he's interested in you. Now, I guess at some point, we can step up and ask that question, and ask the man, why did you never say, why have you never told me the way you feel about me? I really want to know at this point. We've been, hanging out, we've been doing this, doing that. If she's really interested in knowing, then, she can ask as well. All men, like Damon said earlier, all men communicate differently, you know, but at some point, it's got to be on everybody, that the two people in that relationship to, work out their communication style and ask the right question. Sometimes if you don't ask the right question, you won't get an answer. That's my opinion on that. Where's Savannah? What you think about that, Savannah?
I, again, I fully in agreement with everybody is not the same, right? And I think when, especially on here, we tend to go off of our own personal experiences instead of just like kind of generalizations, and that's fine. And I do think it's just every man is not the same, and I think that was clear today. You know what I'm saying? And because everybody's going to look at it different. You have some people that say, hey, listen, I'm showing you that should be enough. You have some people that are saying, well, it's your job to ask me, you know what I mean? And then you have some that are saying, no, I'm going to tell you, I have to ask. So yeah, everybody is just different. But I think the key goes back to what we have been saying from day one is that communication. That should be something that is spelled out very early on, day one, day two. Hey, listen, this is how I need to be communicated to. This is what I need front. So that way that person knows if you are the type of person who needs the actions and the words to align, you need to say that. If you're a person who doesn't care about the actions and just needs the words, say that. If you're a person who doesn't care about the actions and needs the words, say that too. So I think if you do that early on, men and women, then that would be much better to the success. To the success.
Work out perfect. Great.
That's why. Yeah. Yeah. Communication is the most important thing. And these are some things that we often overlook when we're getting into new relationships. But I hope that everyone sees the importance of and values effective communication, and why it's not good to just make assumptions, because like Dan and I alluded, sometimes we feel like all of these actions should be enough. But like Tavana is saying, that sounds like a trust issue. And as a man, we know that you're the only person we're doing these things for. But like Tavana said, sometimes the woman might not know that she's the only person receiving these things. So that enlightened me, because I mean, it depends on what the gifts are. But like in a situation where you're married and you're paying for a house, you bought a car, like, okay, you should know you're the only person that I'm doing these things for. But again, that changes depending on the scale, because if you're an athlete or a celebrity, that could mean nothing because that person has the means to buy cars for 10 women. So I see where you're coming from with that, Tavana. So, and again, piggybacking on what you said, Huck, I think it is best to express it, but also say it, because some people like to hear, and in some instances, some people need to hear it. So I think that we have to look beyond ourselves and get outside of ourselves too when we think about communication, and not make so many assumptions. So yes, I have a question though for the ladies, since we have a little time here. Well, there are only two of you on right now.
Let's go. Let's go. We ready.
Right, bring it on.
So, and I know well, it's a dead horse, but I saw the leg kick. So I think the horse got a little life left in it, right? Would you ladies mind sharing your insecurities with us, and things that you do to either combat them or make sure they aren't projected on others? That could be coworkers, significant others, family members. How do you combat your insecurities and make sure they aren't projected to others?
Oh, I got a lot of them. So, but I'm extremely self-aware, right? So I'm insecure about how I look sometimes, right? Like if I have days where I look in the mirror and I'm like, yes, honey, come on. Like, just go. And then I'm like, oh my God, I'm not going outside. Like, you know what I'm saying? And that doesn't have anything to do with me comparing myself to other people or anything like that. It's just how I'm feeling about myself in the moment. Or if, this month did what I was supposed to do. I went to the gym and I lost 10 pounds, but then next month I gained 5 back or whatever. So, or it could be like, I'll give an example. Tomorrow I am a panelist on a Black Business Expo panel, right? I am like freaking out, right? And these insecurities are popping up. Oh my God, people are going to be looking at me. Am I going to wear the right thing? Am I going to say the right thing? Oh my God, I need the questions in advance so I don't sound crazy and I don't say it's all insecurities. And we were talking about this a little bit before. They're about you. They're not about other people. Your insecurities are things that go on within you internally, mentally, emotionally, that you're not okay with, that you're not comfortable with, and that if exposed and if other people can see them, would make you feel some kind of way. And so what I do to combat that is I do constant check yourself. You know what I'm saying? I do affirmations. I do, you are enough. You are fine the way that you are. And if there is something that you want to change, then that's on you. It has nothing to do with anybody else. If you want to lose 10 pounds, but you sit on the couch and drink wine and eat bonbons and watch Scandal, you're not going to lose 10 pounds. So that has nothing to do with anybody else. That's on you. So I think I personally just have lots of little idiosyncrasies that I just, I have issues with. Some of them stem from my childhood. Some of them were created through just, growing and learning. And then some of them are new because I have new things going on in my life. But I try to be self-aware and, and then do what I need to do to either deal with them or correct them.
Thank you. Thank you. Deborah?
Yeah, that was good, Savannah. Yeah, for me, and I resonated with a lot of what Savannah said, especially, being self-aware. because I know my insecurities a lot lie in, in some of the same places, you know. I like to be like behind the scenes, you know. I don't really like to be out and seen and be the center of attention. And so putting myself in situations or being in situations where, you know, I'm highlighted is it makes me really insecure. And I start thinking about things that I don't normally think about on a regular basis, like how I look, how is people going to see me, how are they going to receive me. For me, you know, how I combated that was, you know, by starting starting a YouTube channel to put myself out there, you know, and really like take the biggest leap of all, to really not even care and worry about how people are going to see me and how they're going to perceive me, but just know that I got to show up how I got to show up, and whatever happens is what's going to happen, you know. My weight, it definitely is an insecurity in a lot of ways, you know, especially, you know, after the fact. But even like being insecure about not wanting to go back to where I was, and like thinking like that being an overthinking point for me, like to try to, you know, make sure that like being extra critical of myself, you know, if I decide, like, you know, and I want some candy or some cookies or something, you know, now I'm beating myself up about having it. Like those are all things that we can be real insecure about, me, myself anyways, because I don't want to go back to what I used to be now that I know I'm healthier and it's better for my life. It's a healthier lifestyle, but I still want to enjoy the things that I used to enjoy. So, you know, those are just some of the insecurities that I have. That's really mainly where mine lie.
Question, comment, concern? Koshon? Where is Koshon? Or any other fellas?
There's no guys at all, clearly.
I know. I don't know what's going on. Everybody's
I'm here.
No, ladies, I'm still here.
Hey,
Waiting on
I'm an audience.
Koshon to lead us.
Oh, there goes everyone. Oh, there's life in the
I've
chat.
been an
Oh,
audience
no,
member
good,
today.
great.
I've been busy. I've been being an audience member today.
Where's Koshon?
any
I
questions
don't know. He might be a little busy.
from what we said? You guys get to put us in the hot seat for a
Yeah,
second.
y'all super insecure. Yeah, we don't have them.
You know what, Tank?
No, we're just super honest. That's all. Because,
Right.
Nah, y'all.
I think it's just a thing. Like, again, insecurity is not a bad thing. Insecurity is not a dirty word. It's not something that's a defect in you or something that is wrong. It's just something where you're self-aware enough to know that these are some things that kind of make me twinge. These are some of the things that make me not feel as confident. And that's okay. Like another one of my insecurities is as a mom. Like people tell me all the time, "Oh my God, you're the best mom. You're a great mom." But I have those days where I'm just like, "Oh my God, am I doing enough? Am I
Would fear
being a good mom?"
would fear be considered an insecurity?
It can be. It can be. It definitely can be. It definitely can be.
I think that's every man. Every man has a fear of failing their children, their family. So if y'all consider that an insecurity, I think every man got an insecurity. Every man who does what they should be doing for their family.
Well, and again, not every man, because we know that's not true.
What?
So no, because there are definitely men who are not taking care of their families and who don't
That's
do right by
that's
them.
what I said. That's why. See, you want to argue? I said every man who's taking care or doing what they're supposed to be doing for their family.
Right, but even when they're doing that, does that necessarily mean that they have that fear?
Yeah, no man wants to fail their kids or family.
I
I
mean,
don't think all fears are insecurities, but some fears can be insecurities.
correct. And what I'm saying is, I don't really subscribe to those inclusive words like all and every, you know what I mean? Because I think there's definitely gonna be a exception to most rules. You know what I'm saying? So I would say most men feel that way, but I'm sure that that would not be something that applies to all men.
Yeah, like, I mean, I could say I have trust issues, right? I'm not really trusting, and that's not just the men, that's just the people all around, all around the board. Like anybody that like wants to really, you know, get in with me, Like there's always a halt who goes there right in the beginning. You know what I'm saying? I need to really check you out. I don't care if you're just a friend, if you're trying to be a lover, if whatever it is, I'm really like not trusting in the beginning. I don't know. Maybe I don't look at that as an insecurity, but some people might.
And I think a lot of times too, people tend to look at an insecurity as something that has to linger or something that has to be there all the time when that's not true. You can have an insecurity today and that thing is gone tomorrow, right?
No,
You
you
can
did
have
not
Yeah,
say that.
that's what they said. That's what they said all last week.
They just
But it's
beat
the
us in the
truth.
head last week for us saying that we outgrow insecurities.
no,
Right?
not no, Coach.
Not you personally. Not you personally. We're saying the women.
Oh,
Point.
I'm not the women. I'm Savannah. So
Right.
I'm saying what I said, and I'm saying it's not something that has to be all the time. You can be insecure about again something today, and by tonight that thing is gone, and you don't feel that the next day. Or you can have things that linger. You can have things that you've been insecure about for 25 years. So again, I think it's just all about people tend to look at insecurity.
I agree. And I thank you for getting us to that point. We want to get our next question in. Well, I have Tank and Damon here, and she kind of piggybacked, I guess, or we ran out of time actually when we talked about men knowing that they're leaders, right? And some men run from responsibilities that comes with leadership, leading the family, being the leader in this situation. First off, guys, you agree with this? And what is your take on that?
Say that again.
She asked, why are men running from responsibility that comes with leadership?
This from last week, right?
Yes.
Can I have an example?
Yeah.
Oh, that's a good follow-up. Ladies, do you all have an example, ladies?
Well, I don't have an example for that because it's a very broad, vague question. I mean, for me, that question starts with what do you view as leadership, right? Because being a man doesn't make you a leader.
That's
Because
right.
there's some men that don't even look at themselves as the leader. That don't even look at them. You know what I mean? So everybody wasn't raised to be that. You know what I mean? So this is kind of, I think we would be definitely an example to just even be able to dive into what this person meant.
Well, I'm gonna say I think everyone has strengths and weaknesses, and I think in my household there's no one leader. I believe there are leaders at certain times. It might be myself, and it might be my spouse. But just to say that I'm the leader of my household, I can't just say that. We, like I said, have different strengths and different weaknesses. I know a lot about certain things, and she knows a lot about others. And we also have different roles when it comes to taking on certain missions. I like to say that myself, I probably focus more on the mission right before us, and my wife probably pays more attention to the periphery and the things that could become obstacles in our pursuit of our goals. So, which one is more important? The person going directly toward the goal or the person looking out for the obstacles in the periphery? And I think they are probably equal. So for me to say that I'm the leader just because I'm focused on one aspect and she's on another, I can't take credit for that. So, and different times, yeah, I just can't. So the definition of leadership and the leader of my household, it's got to be like, specifically defined for me.
I like that perspective, guys. And that makes a lot of sense too when you talk about leader. And it seems like, and I'll follow up with her with this question, is like, I think I'm making an assumption that she wants to be in her feminine energy is something that she talked about in the past. And it's like, that's where I think she was going with it. She wants to be able to be in her feminine energy and not have to be responsible for so many things in the house and in the relationship is what she mentioned. And we have another guest. Thank you and hello. Welcome. And I want to say thank you, ladies, for sharing your insecurities. And I also asked, like, what do you do to combat them? And Tavana talked about how, they can go away on their own. Like, you could be insecure about something today and not tomorrow. And do you think that does it affect your relationship with your friends, with your family, and anyone else, whatever those insecurities are?
I mean, they can if you let them like overtake you or rule how you go about your day. They definitely can. But again, when you are trying to be more self-aware, then a lot of times you can really check yourself at the door, before you really will allow something that you personally are insecure about to really affect how you deal with the people around you. At least that's for me.
Okay.
Yeah, and I think an example could be like if you're insecure about your weight or whatever, but your family wants to go to the beach or to the pool, and you're like, oh no, we're not doing that. Find something else to do, right? So that might be a way that your insecurity is getting in the way of other people. You know what I mean? Because you have this issue now. I can't beach in the pools. Um, so that might be something that if your family, your kids or whatever bring it to your attention, that you might have to start working on. But in terms of that leadership question, I think that again, it's it's I'm assuming as well, like Koshon, that there's some sort of something that maybe in her experience, that person, she dealt with someone who she didn't feel was a leader. But like Damon was kind of saying, I think those roles, so to speak, have to be defined very early. And you have to say, hey, this is my expectation of you as the leader, things like that. Because if not, you're going to have an expectation of someone to do X, Y, that they didn't know you expected. So of course,
You went out, Tavana?
oh, I was saying they might not meet the expectation if they don't know what. So, I mean, you have to express the type of leadership that you would like in order for that person to know that that's what you require.
Okay. I want to go on to our next question. This person asked, after being in a relationship for years and you break up with that person, why do some men become better for the next partner? Right? Why do
Can't
men,
wait to hear this
why do you
one.
become a better man for the next
I got a
relationship?
quick answer.
Go ahead, Tank.
I got a quick answer. Every person brings out something different in you. So it's just like with the love, love languages, it's different with everybody and every person, is different.
Anyone else want to take a stab at it? Damon?
Man, I know my first marriage, I did some growing up, just not knowing. And, as time go on, screwing up and realizing I screwed up, as time goes on, you become a better person. And it doesn't necessarily always have to be for somebody different. If you're willing to work through and stick it through, I'll become a better person for you too if I don't do the wrong thing to the point where it ends the relationship. So I don't think it's a better person for the next person. I think it's a better person for the future.
That's a great point. I want to say something, and I agree, Damon. I agree completely. And what I wanted to add is, like you said, we live and we learn, we have experiences, right? And the same way, Deborah, you say that men wait until the relationship is over to say how he felt. Sometimes women wait until the relationship is over to express the things that bother them or what, they could no longer deal with. So when you start to share these things, because some men, we think that, hey, if you never complained, we assume it was all right, right? You never complained about me gambling, so I assume, okay, you're cool with it. And some women wait until the relationship is over to tell us the things that we were doing wrong. And like Damon said, if these things were communicated to us, right, we could have worked on them while we were in the relationship. Because I hear women say often that they reach their breaking point. Like, what made you end the relationship? No, it's not one thing. But a lot of times for men, the relationships can end for one reason, right? Or because of whatever unforgettable event. But women are like, no, this has been ongoing and I just got tired. I reached my breaking point. But if you communicated that breaking point, right, or the things that got you there, then it probably could have salvaged the relationship. And then as we grow older and mature, it's like, you know what? I lost my last marriage because I didn't do XYZ. Well, that man will be a fool to do the same thing all over again, right? So now, yeah, he appears to be a better person because he lived and he learned. That's just my opinion.
So I think that that's kind of a short-sighted way to look at it, because like Damon said, if let's just say you were in a relationship with someone from 22 to 32, and you get out of that relationship for whatever reason, and then you enter another relationship at 35, I would hope they're better, men and women. I'm hoping. So it's not like I don't think anybody gets out of one relationship and say, oh, well, I purposely didn't want to be like this but I'm going to make sure I'm like this for the next person. You've grown. You've learned from your mistakes if you had mistakes. And so unfortunately, that next person will probably get a better version of you.
Yep. You learn lessons, I think every relationship is brought to us to teach us something, whether it's for a reason, a season, or the real deal. They're all they're all meant to teach us something about ourselves. And if you are able to, even if the relationship doesn't work out, there's always that silver lining of what did I learn here? You know what I'm saying? And the learning is the silver lining of any relationship that you have. So once you take whatever lessons you learned in that relationship and you move on, that is where you show your growth, you have you made the growth by acknowledging what things you could have worked on, how you could have made it different, how you could have been better. But then when you move into the next relationship, now's your time to show up. Now's your time to show what you learned back there and be better than you were back there. And some people, meaning an ex, just might not be able to handle the fact that you're being a better version of yourself with this person because they were the person that you learned your lessons through. And they don't understand that part.
So I think I agree with what you're saying. So it's like some people get frustrated and when they see, this next relationship, it's like, had you done that when we were together, we could have been together. But I guess it's for whatever reason. And again, communication is very important and we say things. And I'm sure, like Tawana said, just in general, just from one relationship to the next, you grow, you mature, and you change as a person. I think that helps us.
And
Go ahead.
I think it's like that in everything though. Like, people have multiple children. The mother that I am with my youngest child is not her that I was with
Right.
my
Right.
oldest two, right? Because I was 20 when I had my first child and 35 when I had, that's a 20-year-old me and 35-year-old me were not the same person. You know what I'm saying?
Right. Income
So
is different.
yeah,
Time is different.
God, so many things, so many factors. And, and so it's the same thing in relationships. You're going to evolve. And this is why some people get back together also, right? see you have people that get divorced and get remarried, right? Because now you've had some time apart, you watch this person grow, and now it's like, oh, wait a minute. I see that difference now. And let's give it a go again, because you probably wouldn't have wanted to be with the person that you broke up with, but because you've seen the growth and you've seen the change, you the block again. You know what I'm saying? So it really just depends. And it's I think a matter of how you perceive it.
Mm.
Yeah,
I'm,
I agree with that 100%.
and we have another part. Well, I would say another part. This person asked, I guess they want to know what makes a man settle down. Guys, Tank, Damon, please tell me. This person wants to know what makes a man settle down.
When he feels like he needs what he has, he doesn't want to lose what he has, or he has something that he can't afford to lose. Hmm. From my standpoint,
Tank, what would make you settle down, or in the past, what made you settle down?
I'd have to agree with Damon on that one. Totally. That and timing, man. Timing. Big things, timing. And if I feel that you're someone that I could build with, I can grow with, you'd be a great mother to my children, a great asset to my life, then then I'll be willing to settle. Other than that, I got a couple more years of running, having fun.
He she got a couple more years running around.
Yeah, man, I got myself on a time scale, man.
Hmm. And I'm thinking
I've
about,
been married before.
right.
But what happens if the one enters your life before your time scale?
That's up to her. That's up to her and God.
But if she does, will you settle
Yeah,
down?
yeah,
Okay.
definitely.
Okay.
Yeah. She might be in my life now. Who knows? I just don't know if she's the one, but she might be in my life now. She
Interesting.
might be listening to this podcast. Who knows?
Interesting.
I ain't talking about you, Tavana.
You never know.
I
God works in
No,
know you're not.
mysterious
no.
ways.
No. I can, no,
No,
no, no,
no, I
no,
know.
Savannah, ain't you becoming single again? Savannah, ain't you
no,
becoming single now?
no. Uh-uh.
I don't. I could be bottom of the barrel single, and it ain't happening. Sorry.
Let's be nice, people. Be nice.
Y'all are horrible.
No,
I know, right?
that's a homie or whatever, but I can't.
Yeah.
Nah, we not even close.
That's funny. That is funny. And settling
It
down,
was also a lesson in like knowing yourself. Like I know me, and that would never work. So then and I think Tate know him, and that would never work.
settling down. Mm, uh,
You've been married. What did it take for you to?
to
Right?
settle
Or what would it
down.
take for you to do it again?
Oh, the Koshon talking to me. Koshon,
No, I'm talking to
Me?
Koshon. Yeah, like what would it take for him to get married again?
he ain't gonna do
right. Yeah, my sons told me yesterday I can never get married again, so that won't happen. But as far as settling down, it was a combination of things. Like Damon said, timing was one of them, and I was at a point in life where I felt like I had to do something different. If that makes sense. That's just where I was. I had to do something different. I was getting older because I said I would never get married, right? And then I found myself in a position where I just did a self reflection. And I'm like, man, what the heck are you doing? Like, you're not living up to your potential as an individual. So I knew that I needed to change, right? And then I was like, dealing with multiple women is not the thing, right? It's fun at times, but as you grow older, I wasn't setting a great example for my son. My son was a preteen. My nephews were teenagers. They're very close to me. And I didn't feel like I was setting a good example with the lifestyle I was living. And I was being a hypocrite. And my niece pointed out to me because I would get on my niece, right, about boys. I would always talk to her about boys and being cautious of them and their lies and protecting herself and her body. And my niece said to me, at this time, my niece was 16, my nephew was 15, and my son was 12. And my niece asked me, and I didn't have an answer for it. She was like, well, why do you she asked, why do I let my son and my nephews go out at their young age and do whatever they were doing? I would let my nephew take my truck at night, and it was just hypocritical, and I was like, man, I have to set a better example because, she's watching, she sees these things and she's correct with what I'm doing. So, I decided to do my best to become a better person. And I started dating. First person I dated, things didn't work out. I started dating again, and I felt like I found someone that checked the boxes that I created. And I decided to settle down. Just that time, and I felt it was the thing to do. But I think I realized that maybe I'm not marriage material, you know, and I'm perfectly fine with that. I'm cool with that. Right now, my focus is on being the best parent that I can be, being the best father that I can be, and being the best person. And I have a lot of professional growth and development that I have to do. So that's just where I am right now. I hope I answered the question.
Over explanation, but yeah, you got it.
That's what it was. So as far as
And that's
settling
why
down,
I asked, was there love there though? Because that, like, you didn't mention, like, nothing about how you felt about her.
I didn't know her. I didn't know her. So it wasn't like, okay, this the person that I love, right? So we grew to that point. We got to that point eventually. But initially,
Got you. Okay.
yeah, I was dating.
Understandable.
Yeah, I was in a dating phase. He was the person I was with at the time, and our relationship grew and blossomed. So when you talk about settling down, I don't know if you mean settling in a relationship or settling as far as being married, because what made me decide to get married was I felt like she demonstrated, you know, her support for me, and, was a person that helped me to become the person that I needed to be. I saw a lot of changes in myself during that time, improvements, of course.
She helped you to be a better version of yourself.
Yeah, yeah,
She
much
helped
better
you
version of
to,
myself.
yeah, understand. Yeah. Okay. Cool. Got it.
Mm-hmm. So I'm like, you know what? If I'm doing this, man, this is a person I can, spend my life with. And then we weren't getting any younger, I wanted to have more children, and that's how it ended up. So settling down, there are a lot of different factors, a lot of factors. And again, we can reverse it back to you ladies. What makes you all want to settle down?
Oh, I don't.
Well, you've been married. So what made you settle down?
Right. Okay, so the first time, pressure. Just had 2 kids. Y'all gonna sack up forever. You know, that weird Jesus secretary pressure that I I let myself succumb to. The second time, I just did everything different, right? I did everything different. And I thought well, I'm not gonna say I thought, but at that time, in that season of my life, that's what I wanted, right? I wanted to be married. I wanted to have another child because I had both of my first two children out of wedlock. So in my mind, I wanted to do it the right way, right? So I
Mm-hmm.
wanted to get married. I wanted to have another baby. And so that's just where I was. And this person checked like Koshon said, checked all the boxes. Everything appeared right until it wasn't. So, but at this season in my life, I don't want that. I don't desire that anymore. There could be another season where that comes back around. but I don't desire to sign my name on the dotted line and be in a contractual relationship anymore. I'm at a point now where I want to be with someone and I can be with someone, but it will just be that. You know what I'm saying? We will have clear understandings about what it is, and that's that. But no sign your name on the dotted line and sign your life away.
Hmm. Deborah, what made you settle down?
I well, I mean, I've never been married. I attempted to get married, but I found out very shortly thereafter, going to turn in the marriage certificate, that he was already married, or he was still married to his
Oh
ex-wife.
my God, Jesus Christ.
So,
What the what?
girl, look. So, like, the crazy thing is, I always said I never wanted to get married and I never wanted to have any kids. But I had a kid, took that, But then when I actually decided to get married, like looking back in hindsight, I realized it was for like none of the reasons were right. And there was a lot of work that I needed to do. So I can't say that I wouldn't settle down in the future, but it's not something that I really desire to do. I'm like Savannah, like we could be together. We we could do everything together, but I don't really care to sign my name on the dotted line at all. But we can have a ceremony under the eyes of God, and I'm good with that. And if that's how we look at being married or just being, you know, me and you, then all the way good with that. But what it would take would just be really to find somebody that aligns with me, that pushes me to be better, that can communicate properly with me, that can be vulnerable, and that I can trust, that's respectful, that loves family, very family oriented the same way that I am. There's, it's a multitude of things that would make me want to just be with someone, but I don't know that I would actually sign the dotted line.
Right, I could definitely do like a commitment ceremony. We could do
Right.
rings
Yeah.
and all of that. Like
Right.
you can whatever you want. We can, but
Right. We can
in
have a
terms
joint
of
bank
going to
account.
probate court, we ain't
And
doing
then, yeah, we could make a decision to have joint bank account, and we have separate bank accounts. If we choose to live together, like I want to write up a contract for everything we do, but I don't need it to be a contract through the government. I need it to be a contract between
correct.
me and you, so that whatever happens here, we are okay and understand what's going to happen if we separate, if one of us passes, however, whatever. If we choose to get a life insurance policy on each other, then that is something that we mutually decide. And, whatever, however, I can do all of that. But I don't know that I really just want to sign no piece of paper no more.
Absolutely. And I don't even know, like at this stage in my life, like I am not even. Well, I'm not even say I'm not sure because I'm very sure. I ain't even trying to eat chicken forever. So like trying to keep it PG. Like I ain't trying to eat chicken forever. So some days I might want some shrimp. Some days I might want some salmon. I might want a steak. So I just I'm not there.
Yeah, having the openness at this point. I'll say this, Unique. I see your questions that how women look at life at this age. Like for me, I have went through.
This woman, I can only speak for this.
Right. Right. I went through, like, I think, I'm 40, right? So I've been through a couple, though I haven't had many relationships, I've had, a good amount of interactions to understand like what it is that makes me happy, and, however, whatever. I understand that sometimes I like, I don't have a problem with it. I don't feel lonely. I can entertain myself, and I'm great like that. But then every once in a while, I might want some company, right? So then I'm going to have company. And
Whoopi
if my
Goldberg
life is
said it
set up
best.
the way, yeah, if my life is
Yeah,
set up the way
Whoopi
that
Goldberg said it best.
makes me feel good, then hey, it is what it is. It works. And, if I decide that I want to be exclusive with someone, then I'll try that out and do that for, whatever, however long we do that for. And, at this point, I don't have any expectations of how I want someone to be, what I want someone to be. I just want you to be you. I want you to be real. I want you to be you. And whatever we decide to do is what we decide to do.
Well, we've reached our mark. Nikki joining us, Brandy, and everyone else. We're at our 2 hour mark. So they gave us 2 minutes to close out. So we're at our final 2 minutes. Is there anything that you all would like to share? Any final thought, question? Like, is there something you want to get off your chest?
Great show as well. All right.
Yeah, I just wanted to say, I think this show was a good show. I believe both the men and the women learned quite a bit today. So that's always a good thing.
Yeah.
Thank
I
y'all.
want to share something right quick. When I had you all muted earlier, I was on the elevator and I was apologizing to a couple because some people think it's rude to be on speaker or whatever. And I said, we have an active podcast. And I told them what it was about and what the topic was. And I shared Deborah's perspective. And it was so funny. The couple immediately chose sides because the guy was like, right, if I'm doing this, you should know that I love you. And his wife was like, oh no, the lady's right. We need to hear it because buying a house, that could be for the kids. And she was like, it doesn't hurt to tell us. We need to hear it. We like hearing it. So I was like, oh man, this is so cool. So I shared the name of the podcast and invited others. So right now I want to say thank you all again. We're down to our last 60 seconds. And I want to begin by thanking everyone.
And guys, I did put my YouTube channel in there. So if you guys want, I won't ever do it again. But so, if you guys see it, just go follow it. If you, want to subscribe and support me, great. But
What is it,
like, it's a healing journey for myself. And it's for you guys to learn more about me and where I'm at and what I'm doing creative
Oh,
right
definitely. We'll
now. So,
definitely do that.
Dad, put it
yeah.
in again. I didn't see it.
A Fool's Journey
I'll send
with
it to you.
PE.
I'll send it Koshon. I'll send it to Koshon. I'll send him the link and he can share it out with you guys.
Lisa, thank you for joining.
That's cool,
Okay,
David.
also join the YouTube channel.
Thank you, Lisa. Thank you, Lisa. I appreciate it.
Yes, we're here to support each other. And if you all have something
Right.
adventurous going on, and when Hook has his show, his podcast, I told him to invite us and we'll join Hook.